This is the rhythm of the night.
Hello and welcome to another OnTrade show podcast, the show where we try to inspire and engage with people from across the hospitality industry in different ways to hopefully help move the industry forward in a positive way. On today's show, we have an absolute icon of the hospitality industry, someone I personally look up to and think she's absolutely phenomenal, and a real advocate for the hospitality industry as a whole, not just here in Scotland, but across the UK. And we have the amazing Louise MacLean, Business Development Director at Signature Pubs Group. Hello.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
How
Thank
we doing?
you.
That was all in one breath as well.
I know.
Even for
I
me,
thought
that
you
was
were gonna pass
out. Even a
I
long
might
breath.
actually just clip that and just send that to my husband.
That is now your full title.
Yeah, because he'll be like that. Who's that?
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
This is your kind of second appearance with us. Well, the old days of At the Bar,
Yeah.
which was a wee bit more chaotic that day. I don't know if you remember back to that
Yeah.
day with microphones and everything else.
Yeah.
mate.
Oh my
Up
goodness.
dresses.
I've had that conversation a couple of times. I think it was with Nick specifically when he
yes.
was like, "What you used to do?" Like, nothing. It's fine. It's under control. Nice way to break the ice and meet somebody, but never mind. There you go. But no, welcome.
Thank you.
We'd love to. Glad
It's so
have
nice
on
to
the
meet
show.
you because it's my first time meeting you.
Yes.
But I'm really excited to get to know you today.
Thanks very much.
So, for those that have been hiding under a rock for the last wee while, Louise, you are obviously Business Development Director of Signature Pubs,
Yes.
which look after many iconic venues across Scotland.
Yep.
And am I correct in saying that Signature Pubs is the biggest independent pub chain in Scotland?
No.
No?
No. We all argue about that. I mean,
Good thing to argue about.
yeah. I think Mario Ghizi's DRG group's bigger.
All right, okay.
It's the Stephen King's G1 group or Scotsman group's bigger.
Okay.
And Kenny Blair at Buzzworks is clipping on our heels
Really?
right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
right,
yeah,
okay,
so
that's cheeky.
bit of rivalry going on there just now.
But you were would it be correct in saying that initially you were kind of predominantly East Coast
Yep.
based, but now have a really strong presence, not just in the West Coast, but across Scotland?
Yeah, and Glasgow's on our hit list just now. Watch this space.
Yes.
But 2027 might be quite interesting for Glasgow.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
We'll try and expand on that in a
Well,
moment.
I think the main thing is we've got so much in Edinburgh now. We do find Edinburgh Council quite frustrating to work with. They're not really a business thinking, business leaning council. I don't know if anywhere's any
I was gonna
better
say,
from what I've heard.
I think people in Glasgow would probably say the same, to be fair.
Yeah. But no, we think there's quite a lot of opportunities in Glasgow. And in the past, it used to be you stuck to your city.
Yep.
Right. So in the past, if you were an East Coast business, you'd stick there and you'd own it and do really well.
Uh-huh.
But now, God, the world's shrinking all the time.
100%.
And so now, we're quite happy to cross the M8.
So
Yeah.
some of the iconic venues that you've got is obviously Cold Town House
Yes.
in Edinburgh. Stunning views of the castle, but there's you'll maybe know this as well. There's a kind of church theme going on.
There is a bit. Yeah, there is a bit.
I was wondering if Nick had a kind of an inroad to some.
It's quite funny. So obviously Church on the Hill, and then we've also in Glasgow, and then we've also got Cold Town House was an old mission hall for domestic abuse women back and abandoned mothers and all that. And then the new one that's opening towards the end of the year in the Old Town in Edinburgh is an old what's the word I'm looking for? Like an order,
Right.
you
Okay.
know, like an order sort of like Rosslyn Chapel and one of the old orders. So it's got a beautiful. It was called the Odd Fellows Order, which may
Wow.
give you a hint to the name. It's not Odd Fellows,
Oh.
right? You guys can get it.
We're getting
There
secrets
may
now,
be.
look.
You
We're
are.
getting
So we haven't
exclusive.
actually announced the name yet, largely because we can't agree on it. It's another thing. It's another thing we argue about.
I'll get a feeling you're going to win that argument, Louise. I'll get a feeling.
It's not my money. It's not. I know my place.
But they're just all these beautiful buildings that you're.
Yeah, they are.
taking into.
Yeah, and actually, it's quite interesting. The modern way of hospitality is to be designed with labour in mind, right?
Okay.
So what that means is when you design a building, because labour is so expensive, as in the cost of service is so high that most people are looking at businesses where they can actually design the building so they need minimal labour or maximum efficiency.
Yeah.
We buy old converted buildings and the labour equation out the window. Never mind.
Well, that was going to be one of my kind of first questions, and I've talked about it for about the last 2 years, kind of consistently, and it seems to be becoming more and more prevalent now. About obviously a lot of the venues you guys operate experiences at the core of what the customer offering is, and I've kind of said this for a long time about. I think some venues in the hospitality industry have kind of forgot or lost track of what the customer wants now, where everything's across social media and everything else is pictures of food, pictures of cocktails, constantly seeing the same thing. And what we're getting back from not just customers but other people across the industry is the cocktails or the drinks are a standard. You expect that to be decent. Now, when people go into a venue, you expect them, if they do food, it to be done right.
Well, not
and
poisoned.
not half cooked and not rotten. The real currency in hospitality now is experience and how somewhere makes you feel and what you feel about the venue. And that's obviously a kind of fundamental across a lot of the signature venues. When you take Church Hill, the Raven, Cold Townhouse, there's a real atmosphere about them. Is that something that you kind of initially think about with the venues, or
that's absolutely paramount? And I would say it actually started before the pandemic. We talk about a thing called the wow of the welcome. If that customer can come in and be wowed, they will forgive you for perhaps not having the right garnish for the drink,
100%.
or perhaps being a couple of minutes late with taking their order. We talk about the 312s, right, in sales. You talk about the first 12 steps. So as you approach the customer with honesty, with openness, and with confidence. The first 12 inches, you walk with a smile. The first 12 inches of your face, you've got to beam.
Makes such a difference.
And the first 12 words out of your mouth. Hello there, how can I help you? Not the bugbear of every single hospitality operator, I guarantee you. Have you got a reservation?
No, it's like Gestapo at the door.
I mean, it's we would call that the sales prevention department.
Immediately pushed me back. Immediately I'm like, hi.
You're giving the customer an objection before they've uttered a word. So the wow of the welcome is absolutely paramount in every single thing we do. And I think we've worked very hard on it. We're not 100% there yet, but I think we are. We've certainly, the feedback we're getting from our mystery guests and from anecdotal and our MPS is that we're starting to get that welcome. We call it getting it right for every guest.
And
I think we are getting there with the wow with the welcome.
Well, the feedback that we've had, and as I said, there's no easier feedback to give you than the fact that a couple of the venues, 3 I think in fact, are up for OnTrade Awards.
Yeah, the team
tonight.
are so excited.
So
very well deserved.
I think you're up for Cold Townhouse is up for an award. The Rutland is up for an award, and the Huxley are up for
that's
an
brilliant.
award.
That's great.
But that is obviously the industry nominating you guys. So it's not, and the customers have been voting for you guys. So that is obviously testament to that. It is. You are getting
working.
it right. It makes a difference.
But Huxley in particular is a really interesting one. When I started at Signature 13, 14 years ago, Huxley had been built,
right,
or created,
and
it took about $8,000 a week,
right, okay,
right, and it was pretty shit,
right, okay.
Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah.
Okay. It wasn't a success story, shall we say, and it wasn't a success story overnight.
No.
And we used to go down to Haymarket Station with clapperboards on, handing out bacon rolls, like saying, if you want a bacon roll, we literally did everything. And that bar now takes ridiculous 8 times that.
Wow.
It is, and it has a queue at the weekends. But what's really interesting is the concierges. So when all the hotels, where can I go for breakfast? And they all send them there. You know, it's just because it's somewhere that's day in, day out. What you see is what you get, but people come for 1 coffee and stay for 2 and then have breakfast, and it's
because
that dwell time.
Yes.
Because it's such a great people watching spot. But no, the Huxley was a slow burn, and now it's such a success story. And we actually took too long to refurbish it.
Right.
Because you think when something's not broken, why would you fix it?
Why would you fix it?
But eventually you're looking around going, this is tired.
It's getting tired.
You know? But yeah,
But it's beautiful. I actually took my mum there once. Yeah, I took my mum through to Edinburgh for it.
That's it. Like
We loved it.
It's a great meeting spot. It's
Yep.
a great sort of daytime spot. Loads of people watching. Great spot right at the end of
Perfect
Princess
for
Street.
people watching. We love that. We
Yeah.
sit with a wee
Yeah.
And I
Prosecco.
obviously love the big
they
red
bought
bowl at
The
Christmas.
big red bowl. Yeah, I mean that costs £18,000 to put up.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the other thing that we'll go on to stuff like that in a moment. But that's one of the things that always strikes me about not just you, but the thing you kind of put your mark on is the how something looks and comes across.
What you're
Like
going for.
I know the amount of money you guys spend on Christmas decorations,
Oh,
for example,
£250,000.
is off the scale,
Yeah.
right? But again, it's all part of that experience and what you offer. It's not one of my frustrations, let's say, and obviously we champion the industry and we argue and we try to do the best that we can to support the industry, but we're also transparent enough to say we can't always look externally for things to be fixed without looking internally at what we could do better to make it better ourselves and how we engage and stuff like that as an industry. And sometimes my frustration is when you've got, and Cold Town must get it, a lot of the signature venues must get it, where other venues just box tick and they just try to replicate what's successful and copy somebody else but do it on the cheap and don't have the same care and attention to it. Does that make sense? And
Yeah, we call it Timu.
yeah.
Yeah, we don't do Timu.
No, and that's the thing. But it's noticeably engaging. It's noticeably makes a difference that somebody spends that time and invests that to create the experience that's there.
Yeah, but I would say that's also probably why we are probably towards the top end of the value chain.
Yeah.
We don't, but I think people can see that because we do overinvest in the venues, but because of that, we are not cheap.
But
we work to our margins.
Yeah.
We don't want to rip anyone off, but
No.
we don't have the discounting.
It's not sawdust
swing.
on the floor
No,
kind of stuff.
no.
But that was going to be one of my questions. Before I go into the challenges with the industry and things like tourist tax and stuff like that, we're going to touch on. Do you? I'm a really firm believer that people are not necessarily short of money. I don't mean that. Maybe I'm not putting this across in the right way, but people are willing to spend money when they go out.
Yeah.
But what they're not, I think they're not prepared to spend money on is somebody cutting corners or doing it on the cheap. I think people are because they don't maybe go out as much as they used to and stuff like that. They're happy to spend money, but they're not willing to cut corners. It's not having Kahlua and a
Espresso martini or
espresso
whatever.
martini and
Yeah.
stuff like that. They can taste the difference because during lockdown they made cocktails in their house, which were twice as strong as anything else you can get in a venue. So people are more discerning with what they spend their money on now. They want the nice surroundings, the food, the drink are standard. That's not a selling point anymore. They want, like I said, almost going back to the experience. They want to be wowed because that's what they're willing to spend their money on. Because they're, and I had a conversation with Donald Floyd about this. My thing is, I tried to simplify it back in my head, and I was thinking, the hospitality industry as a whole, whether you're selling food, coffee, nighttime experience, a concert, a gig, or whatever it is, we're all in the entertainments industry of some kind. You're entertaining people, whether it's with a coffee and they're sitting down chilled out, or whether you're creating a wedding or a night out. We're entertaining people. And if you don't give them the right platform or experience to entertain them or give them a reason to come out, that makes the challenges more of an excuse not to do it.
And I think I think it's also one of the reasons why we certainly with Scottish Hospitality Group, we no longer see other on-trade operators as competitors.
Yep.
They are my peers.
Right.
Right. My competitors are the supermarkets.
Yep.
If anybody is bringing somebody into hospitality or bringing them out of home, and I don't care if it's for the military tattoo or the Commonwealth Games, if they're bringing them out of their home, I will herald their efforts and support them and champion them.
Absolutely.
Because actually, you can go down, what are you, £6, £7 for 440s of lager in a supermarket.
Yep.
There's £28 for 4 pints.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got to make it worth it. You've got to make sure that the consumer is thinking, no, I don't want to just sit in the house. I want to go out because I know I'm going to have a good time. I know I'm going to feel great. I'm getting to see friends I've not seen, or see family that I've not seen in years, or hang out with co-workers and things like that, and actually enjoy themselves a lot more than saving a bit of money but just sitting in the house, because it is the hospitality industry. It is about going out and feeling and making memories and things like that. So making sure that it's feeling that it's worth it for the consumer to come out.
And I think the slight flip side of that is with the rise of social media content creators, and with the rise,
how to make a
everyone's
spicy
critic.
how to make a spicy margarita at home.
And everybody likes to give
chat about our lovely friend who was the comments in Salino's. We had that chat about that. But yeah, it's everybody's a critic. Everybody's an expert all of a sudden.
Oh, I love getting feedback at the side of a rugby pitch. Really, really. Saturday morning. Yeah. Oh, I was in. All right, brilliant. Brace. Yeah.
Can you have a chat with somebody, because my chips weren't exactly as crispy as they should be?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll look into that right now, because I've got nothing else to do.
I know.
Talking about challenges, right? And you, like me, are quite vocal at the right times, hopefully, in the right points. And one of the things that's quite prevalent just now, there's two major issues. Obviously, VAT is a problem aspect, which we'll touch on in a minute. Something I had a chat with recently with the Prime Minister and Sasha about. But the other kind of major one is the tourist tax. Obviously, that's seems to be kind of impacting Edinburgh a lot, necessarily more than Glasgow has been, but obviously it's been quite prevalent in Glasgow because of the Commonwealth Games recently, which we'll touch on as well. A lot of feedback we've had is it's not been as great as it was going to be heralded to be. But the tourist tax itself, how is that impacting?
So we're not seeing anything yet. So Edinburgh is the guinea pig in Scotland. I believe there's something like a tourist tax in Liverpool.
Liverpool, yeah. That's right.
So Edinburgh's now we've started collecting it.
Okay.
But we won't see any revenue being spent in the city till October at the earliest.
Okay.
Except they've put an extra 50 police on the streets, or that was their main
helpful.
headline, right?
That was beneficial.
And we do have a huge homeless issue in Edinburgh. It's really bad just now. There's tents along George Street. There's tents in the Old Town. I would personally rather see us tackling the cause of homelessness.
Agree. No, 100%.
Rather than putting more police on. So that to me seems we're tackling the problem, not the cause. Or, you know what I mean?
I mean, myself,
exactly.
I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago, myself and Callum Beattie did the Sleeping Rough in 24 Hours in Edinburgh, and we did it. It was to try and obviously gain an understanding of the challenges it's there, and from a slightly different side. But I've done it in Glasgow as well, but Edinburgh was strange. Edinburgh was really weird. There was a different vibe in Edinburgh.
Was that in Charlotte Square?
Callum spent a good percentage on Princes Street, just down from the Huxley. And I was outside the Usher Hall.
All right.
But it was an eye opener. But like you said, it is a big issue, and the cause doesn't seem to be dealt with. They seem to be kind of moving it, pushing it away, or kind of policing it, as opposed to actually trying to deal with the cause initially. But sorry, going back to the tourist tax, you were saying. Sorry.
So no, the guidance really isn't there. That we haven't got enough of guidance on it. I know there are meetings going on with some of the big hotel groups that are really cannot manage it.
Okay.
Like their technology, because a lot of these hotels are so massive. Their technological systems, their EPOS
their systems are so
just not ready for
can't
it.
budge. Yeah.
So I know that's going on, but I think for us is if you go to say Mallorca or Barcelona, you walk in, you're going to get your tourist tax, and don't let anyone call it a transient visitor levy. It is a visitor tax. And I'm not going to get away. People keep saying stop calling it a tax. I was like, it is.
And that's what it is, though.
So
don't jazz it up.
Yeah. In these European cities, nothing like the 20% VAT. Nothing like 10%, 9%. I think we're the third highest in Europe after Oslo and maybe Stockholm.
Yeah.
So it's mental. We've got such high VAT. Then we've got the tourist tax, and the stinger is you also have to pay VAT on the tourist tax. So it's actually 6%.
A double tax.
Yeah. So even for a budget hotel this week in Edinburgh, you're about 15 quid a night. Just in tourist, just more, and that's for a budget hotel. And then I think the other thing is there's no guidance. So in the likes of Barcelona, you'll be given free public transport. Thank you so much for being a tourist. Have a bus ticket,
Yep.
right? You get that, or you get subsidies to go to the Gaudi Museum or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
We're giving nothing. We're giving the tourist not
Nothing.
a thing.
Yeah.
The other thing is that the councillors and the government say, well, you know, the tourists bring a certain usage to the city, so they, you know, litter uplift or potholes. You know, they don't pay council tax, and I'm like, no, we do. It's called business rates.
Business rates.
So we pay the council tax for our tourists, right?
So why should the tourists pay for
Again.
it again on top of it?
And then I think the so we're not. There's no guidance of. So the tourist says, "What's that for?" Right? What's that for? So you know,
Yeah.
I'm really into skiing. I know if I pay my tourist levy, that's to go into helping fund the lifts. That,
Yeah.
you know, that you know that it's there. That they're immaculate.
Yeah.
So there's no. I'd love to see a bit of a PR campaign for us to put posters up or little tent cards to say, "Thank you very much for visiting Edinburgh. This is what your tourist levy is going to go and pay for." And you know,
It's definitely no potholes. It's definitely no any of that.
well, we don't know. We haven't been told. But I think the absolute kicker is you've got anyone staying beyond Edinburgh St James, so where the Princes Street fire is.
Yep.
Obviously, the trams are not running from Princes Street down to Leith at all just now.
All right. Okay.
The trams are stopping at the West End, the Huxley. A bit of a bonus.
Oh, is this the last stop? Okay.
Might be.
Let's just jump in here.
And but obviously, Edinburgh Council, I'm not allowed a chalkboard saying that.
No,
Of course.
obviously not.
So you've got the trams go from the airport into the Huxley, and then they don't go any further because they physically can't for some reason.
Yeah.
But obviously, they put the trams into Leith, so they stopped half the buses because you wouldn't need a bus route and a tram
And the
route.
tram route. Yeah.
So you've now got the tourists paying the tourist levy, staying in Leith with no public transport to get into the city. None. Right? So this tourist is now arrived in Edinburgh to
Can't get anywhere.
can't get anywhere.
Walk somewhere.
It's the deafening silence from the Scottish Government. Edinburgh Council are doing what they can, but we've obviously got this big old building and the message is that the heritage of a building matters more than tourism.
Yeah.
Right? Because they won't knock the building down because it's pretty. But we've obviously got our reputation as a tourist city as well.
Yeah.
And I had hoped after the pandemic that we would never hear the words over tourism ever again in Edinburgh. I'd hoped that we would appreciate how bereft the city was without tourism.
Yeah.
And that hasn't happened. And we're right back again. You know, I get into spats online about this, which I try to not get in spats, but I'm like, you know, when people start to say the terrible tourists, something like that, please, I'm a resident.
Yeah.
And I love them.
Yeah.
I'm a resident and I love the festival. Please, can you
But these
tell
are the
me?
people that create jobs. These are the people that pay people's
Absolutely.
mortgages and
140
retail.
extra jobs we bring in August because of the fringe.
Yeah.
Right? All these students that come back, we're like that. In you come.
Yep.
In you come. All these extra jobs. And I just don't get what it is. Yeah, you're right. It does take a bit longer to get around the city, but is that not the whole part of city centre living?
Exactly. If they didn't want that, they could go and
100%.
stay
Go
out in
live
the
in
suburbs
Fife.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Go stay somewhere
I
that nobody
think
wants to go.
The problems with some of it seems to be, and I'm only speaking from a Glasgow point of view here, because I obviously stay in the city centre, and there's been the bus lanes, there's been the lovely Susan Aitken, the deal prevention officer of business in Glasgow, has just caused absolute carnage. But
What do you reckon? Sorry,
No, no.
I know you're meant to be asking me, but what would you? Sorry, hi Jack.
Louise to do a role reversal situation. There you go.
What would you say about Susan Aitken? Could you name me one positive thing that Susan Aitken and her council did for Glasgow for hospitality?
The only positive thing that I've seen that Susan Aitken is doing has stepped down.
Right.
And I mean that in all seriousness.
And is her successor going to be a bit more of a champion?
I can only hope so. The slightly frustrating thing for me, and I spoke about it publicly on LinkedIn, and Sasha kind of joined me in what I'd seen was hypocrisy. We obviously, I've spoke to Donald, I've spoke to a lot of people, our operators in Glasgow, about Susan Aitken's destruction of Glasgow city centre and it turning it into a eco-friendly zone for these millions of cyclists that don't exist.
No.
Where cars can't come in, it's just a mess. Anybody that has in Glasgow, even over the Commonwealth Games or anything else, it's just a disaster. It's one big building site and a disaster. But she recently come out and they announced the Nighttime Industries Commission for Glasgow to, how important hospitality was to the city. This is the same person that, if you remember, we had a meeting with Sasha when he presented the blueprint
Yeah.
at Manchester, and she was invited along to that meeting with Anna Sarwar and yourself and other people across the room, and she blankly refused. No, we don't need to speak to the industry. We don't need to speak to other cities. Glasgow's doing just fine as it is. And that was a public statement that she put out in a council that was 2.6 billion in debt. It just, that for me spoke volumes about how engaged they were. But then 2 weeks ago, Susan's front page across every newspaper and social media channel that you happen to open with her advocating hospitality, which really stuck in my throat. And I thought, that's sticking your face in front of a
Yeah.
camera. That's everything that's wrong with the engagement that we've got. And I've been quite vocal about it with the First Minister, John Swinney. Seems to be any opportunity to stick his face in front of a camera and tell people how great a job they're doing. Very similar to, former Chancellor Rachel Reeves and stuff like that, who were quite happy to, we are doing a fantastic job. But the reality is, no, it's a mess.
Shows.
It's an absolute mess. And that was one of the things I was kind of keen to ask you about. Obviously, we spoke to and was very privileged and surprised to get time with the new Prime Minister Andy Burnham recently, and spoke to him and Sasha Lord about some of the challenges that's there, and obviously some of the announcements he's made about the reduction of VAT in England and how that was going to impact. And I was asking about how that would revert in Scotland, because the last time relief was getting passed on, it wasn't passed on in Scotland.
Hang on.
Yep, sorry.
VAT's not devolved, so VAT would be UK. So if he was to do a VAT reduction, you're talking about
Well,
business
I
rates.
was business rates.
Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah,
I was
yeah.
meaning when they announced
Yeah.
the business rates 20%
Yeah.
for hospitality, which again, the first thing, the reaction for a lot of Scottish people we deal with was,
Believe it when we see it.
we'll believe it we see it because we won't get it. It wasn't passed on the last time. Why would it be passed on this time? And a lot of the feedback that I had got from him at the time was, that's one of the things he's talking about, devolution and about providing, I think, more powers. And I'm not going to speak for the Prime Minister or Andy Burnham on the back of a conversation I had, but what my understanding from that conversation is, he's looking to give a lot more powers to, like, for example, Mayor of Glasgow, Mayor of Edinburgh, to directly provide that help to the local authority, almost bypassing Scottish Government or Welsh Government for that angle, to help fund those cities. My question to you, and I'll back across to yourself, would be, if Andy Burnham in October, or around the new budget, announces a cut in VAT to 10% for the hospitality industry, and obviously there's been campaigns from Tom Kerridge and stuff like that around the VAT problem. Genuinely, how much of an impact would that make to Signature or to the industry, in your opinion?
I mean, I think it would be a hell of a lifeline. I guess from a practical point of view, I'd like to know how the hell the country can afford it. But if we can, brilliant. What it would allow us to do, so it would definitely fund more growth in the sector. Not only that, I mean, I think it would stop the closures. We've seen 55,000 less entry level jobs in the UK this year.
Yep.
Because we normally fill up our summer jobs around about July. We were full this year by the end of April because there's so fewer jobs because there's been so many closures.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just not enough.
Well, Sasha, I think it was when the conversation I had with Sasha, who was saying it's almost reflecting 2 pubs a day closing across the UK.
And you think how many
Oh my
jobs that is?
goodness.
It is. It's really bad. So firstly, fund expansion, definitely. Actually allow a bit of confidence in the sector. So it would allow people's profits to rise, which would allow banks to have faith in our sector, which would allow lending.
Yep.
And that's a game changer.
Yeah.
So that's commercially. It would lift us out of the red. Because I mean, I say it all the time, I'm not lying. The Chancellor policies in 2024 put us from a profit-making business into a loss-making business. Nothing else we can do about that. So it would put us probably back into the black. From a consumer, it would mean no price rises. We hate having to put our price rises up twice a year. At the moment, it's about twice a year because you've got supplier increases, you've got your budget increases, you've got your labour cost increases, and we are doing all we can. We literally work to our margin, and that's it. I don't need to be 1% above at all. It's just the margin to allow us to try and break even. So from a consumer point of view, it would mean no price rises. Things like, wouldn't it be great if we could say Christmas 2027, say, we're gonna be Christmas 24 prices.
Yeah.
Right? Wouldn't that be great?
100%.
Right? Or even further, further back than that. So there could be great fun campaigns.
Yeah.
What were you wearing when you came out of the pandemic? Put on your old 2020 clothes, because that's where our prices are going to go to. And that would be fun.
Absolutely.
Nostalgia sells.
Yep.
Everybody, loves all that sort of
feeling
thing.
back.
Yeah,
And
so
that's what you're
it
looking
would be
for.
new experiences, new pricing structures, and this profitability. It cannot be sneezed at, because it's that funds expansion and growth and confidence in our sector.
I had a, and it's not like me to be controversial in any any way, shape, or form, but I had a full blown disagreement with somebody, and it was somebody that posted onto one of the restaurants that follows us down south, and there was somebody had put they put a post on about that being a problem, and a genuine customer who got into a spat with me online about it was saying, the industry's been ripping people off for years and overcharging people. You're making profit. These are mobs. These are busy, and it kicked me back to the conversation myself and Michael had with John Mason.
Oh,
Right?
I've got PTSD from that man's name.
It's horrific, right?
So
John Mason is a. I hate to use the word politician in the loosest possible
Retired.
term, right?
I understand.
He commented on us. It caused a bit of a stir at the time. He commented on us basically saying the hospitality industry was raking it in, and I lost my shit.
Where?
This was like 4 years ago, and then me and Michael invited him on to speak to Michael, and Michael went through Bucks went through a big P&L with him and everything else, and they sat and went, yeah. Oh no, I understand and I agree now. I understand. No, I take that on board. I sit on the finance committee and I'll take that back to them and we'll have the conversation. And then literally a week and a half later, he sat on the committee at Scottish Parliament and fucking forgot every single word that we'd told him and ignored it all and just fucked over. And his exact words at the time were, I can't get a hotel room in Edinburgh for less than £100. And I was like, when was the last time you paid for your own hotel as an MP? What bubble
How
are you
are you
on?
relating to this in any way?
Well,
Well,
I ended up having to go and deputise for Steve Montgomery and had to go do the fiscal committee at Holyrood, which is talk about being out of your depth. So it was like, oh my God. And he was sat there and he said that same thing. And he said, how come I can get a hotel room for £50 in Aberdeen and I can only get a hotel room for £100 in Edinburgh? And I was like, I don't have time. I actually don't have time to explain about the nuances of geographical
economics
in this sector. And so I just sort of looked at him quizzically and I was like, what?
My issue with that at the time was these are the people that are making in some loose or connected way decisions about things that's impacting the industry. How disconnected from reality are
that's
you
the word.
that
Go
you
and
don't
ask-
understand?
Go and ask every politician. It's a super quick survey. Every politician in Westminster and in Holyrood, what is tronc? Right? And they're going to go, I don't know. I said, well, when you put minimum wage up, what you forget is in our venues, they get 10% service charge. The minimum is, so in our pubs, is about an extra £3 an hour. So some of these kids are now on £15.71 an hour because they're £12.71 from us. Then they get £3 from the customer. So do not tell me hospitality is a poorly paid sector.
Yeah.
And if you don't understand what tronc is, I can't help you. You have to go and help yourself.
If you don't understand what you're making decisions on an industry that you know
don't
nothing about.
Exactly.
And it was Douglas Ross, and I sat in a meeting in Holyrood with him, and he said, "I'm sorry, what's tronc?" And I was like, "Oh, help, my boob." Right?
but that is frustrating.
Yeah.
And I sometimes get criticised because we don't operate a venue, we don't have a venue, and the question we usually get is, "Oh, you've not got any skin in the game, so why are you?" Which is about to change, but that's a separate conversation. But for us, I take it personally. I've watched you, Stephen, Michael, Donald, hundreds of people challenge and shout and talk and explain in depth about why and to try and get people to understand. And I think customers understand now, but there is always going to be
There's
that.
always going to be the outliers.
Of course there is. But I think customers genuinely get the point that it's about the experience. It's about buying. There's a value to what you do, and you know, having the lights on, having the heating on, staff serving you.
Mhm.
How many times you walk into
That's
a
it, you're not just-
McDonald's now and you don't speak to anybody, it's a screen, you're
Yeah,
touching everything.
yeah.
That, and I seen someone from, and what do I go on, but I seen somebody recently talking about it in America when he was talking about, and it really hit a note for me when he said, hospitality is not service.
Oh, I've seen the same guy,
Have you seen the same
Kirsty
thing?
Rule.
Aye,
I love him.
and
We
he says-
send that round. So that is why we've done the Wow with the Welcome.
Yes.
He is somebody that we are watching all the time. I've connected with him.
Right,
He said, next time you're in the States, please can you look me up? He said, if you want, I'll come over. He
Brilliant.
is a great guy
Yes.
and an
Fantastic.
advocate for service.
Because he talks about it, you know,
That's
there's
exactly
a difference
it.
between service is going, there's your water, and
Handing you what you've asked for.
yeah, and then somebody coming over going, how's your day been? How do you, what brings you in
Actually
the day?
connecting with you as a
why,
human.
Why did you order that? Have you tried such and such?
Yeah.
And that's what he calls it, you know, hospitality. I call it experience.
Yeah.
As all being part and a smile and walking in. I've never, and I sound as if I'm a signature advocate. I am, but any time I've ever walked into a signature venue, whether it's Cold Townhouse, the Raven in Glasgow, Church in the Hill, my daughter worked for you guys for a long time and loved it. But the greeting you get, you feel welcomed. And that's no lip service. You feel welcome.
But that comes from the top.
Yep.
It
That is from Nick.
But you and Nick and everybody is the same way.
Yeah,
Does
so
that
what
make
we
sense?
say is when we're hiring people, right? I do not care if you've never made an espresso martini, and I don't care if you need to be taught how to hold 3 plates. If you can smile and say hello, you've got a job.
Yep.
Right, because everything else I can train. I can train you how to do latte art. I can train you how to make talk the customers through a wine list. That's training. I cannot train that inherent desire to be charming.
Personality.
Yeah, can't do it.
And
Just on a kind of final point, right? I could literally talk to you all day,
Yeah.
right? And I mean that genuinely, with respect. There's what? How do we? And I've probably asked you this question loads of times, but how do we move it forward? You've known me for long enough, and we've spoken often enough about. I'm of the chain of thought, and we at the meeting with Anis Sarwar and stuff like that. At the end, the conversation was right. We've taken that on board. Let's have another meeting in another couple of months, and let's have a chat on it. And I was like, no,
Yeah.
no. Why are we having another meeting about another meeting?
Yeah.
When are we actually going to start doing something? So my thought process is always don't look for reasons not to do something. Look to how you can do it or how you
What's the
can
next step
change
to
it, right? Which obviously is not always in my control or aspects that's there for the industry. But I hate to use the word magic wand, but what's your thoughts about how we make it better or how ways we can make it better across the board? I know it's a bit of a leading question.
No. I mean, it comes down to the P&L.
Right.
Someone's going to have to make this P&L look better. Otherwise, banks are not going to lend.
Okay.
People are going to either have to find external sources of funding or they're going to slip into debt or they're just not going to expand. We need to put confidence back in the sector from investors. And to do that P&L has to look better. So, for example, you're talking about business rate relief.
Yep.
We find ourselves in the 9% of hospitality business in Scotland that get not 1 penny business rate relief. So our business rate bill is 1.6 million this year. Now, if I have to take that as profit, clear profit, that is 8 million in sales.
Right.
8 to 9 million in sales just to pay that 1.6.
Just to pay that bill. Yeah.
Right. Now we only take 40. Right. So then you've got your labour.
Staff.
So
then you've got them.
it's the maths is really, really simple.
Yeah.
So business rates or the VAT or both.
Or both. There wouldn't be. I mean, the thing, and one of the things I've said before many a times, and I'll not labour the point, but I don't care about the politics. I don't care about the colour of the tie. It's not about, Labour, Conservative, Lib Dem, whoever else, Reform. It's not about that for me. For me, it's about do what you say in the tin.
Yeah.
Make it better.
I think the problem with that is, and Andy Burnham has started to talk about this cross-party.
Yes.
Because there was a wonderful MSP called Liz Smith. She was Conservative, really, really business-leaning. been a Conservative MSP for years. And I bumped into her recently and I said, do you miss it? And I really liked her. And I said, do you miss it? And she said, no, because it had just become tribal. You see that. If it's literally, it is the colour of the tie versus the colour of the tie.
100%.
Until we remove that, until we get this cross-party pollination, it's just going to be point scoring. And I think as the public, are we not so bored of the point scoring?
100%.
Obviously, the guy, the Green Party co-leader, said something stupid yesterday.
not for the first time, to be fair.
We'll not go into that. And now all you do is you get all the other parties attacking them, and then his party sticking up for them.
Yeah.
So it just becomes formulaic.
But it becomes like, and I hate to go back to it to a basic avenue, but it almost comes back to the football thing.
Yeah.
I don't like what he's got to say because I don't like the colour of what he's doing.
Exactly right, Justin.
And it's nonsense. And it's one of the things that why personally I think, and I'm putting a lot of eggs in one basket here, but Andy Burnham, it's why I'm very positive about him.
Yeah, I felt the same about Keir Starmer and got that burned. So
I get it.
I'm a little bit once bitten, twice shy.
100%
because
I get it.
I wholly voted for Keir Starmer. I voted for change, and with having 2 children at a fee paying school, that literally was Turkey voting for Christmas, right? That's another few years of work to pay those fees.
By the way, while we're here, just say congratulations to your son, who's you were telling us earlier on, he's got a huge opportunity, which is many congratulations to him.
No, he's had a good month. So I did vote for Labour. I voted for change. I believed in the policies. I believed in most of the manifesto, and I just can't believe. And this is just me as a public. I just can't believe how badly I got burned.
Yeah.
I mean, spectacular.
No,
that first Rachel Reeves budget. And I just couldn't believe. I was like, is this happening? Is this what I voted for?
Yeah.
I'm certain this isn't what I voted for.
But every single policy was U-turned to that manifesto that we had was just.
And so with Andy Burnham, I hope, like you, I hope I'm not going to be as trusting this time.
No, I get it.
But so I think he started really brightly. So long may it continue.
Well, as I say, for me, it's not about the colour of the tie, and that's from speaking to him. And as I say, I'm not politically driven. The tie means nothing to me. I'm more interested about
the action.
The talk is cheap, right? And when you start doing something that makes a difference, then I'll start buying into it. But for me, what he has done so far has ticked those boxes. You know, he's done the VAT reduction. He's one of the other things that was really positive for me and thought a slightly different way of thinking was
he hasn't done the VAT reduction. He's done the business rates.
Business rates. Sorry, I keep saying VAT. Sorry. He's
done the business rates.
Yes, he has. Thank you for correcting.
Which may not come up to Scotland. We're still waiting to see.
And there's an avenue of change around that, hopefully. But the other part that what he has done is the £3 billion set aside for the digital IDs was scrapped and put in somewhere else. For me, that was whether you agree with the policy part of it or not, there's other priorities that are more challenging.
I
just
agree,
now.
but we also need to know, because what the Conservatives are saying
is where's the money coming from?
Is that digital ID programme hadn't been funded.
Yeah.
You know, so there is, you know what I mean? There's still this, and it's this trust. I want to trust the government.
100%.
So be transparent.
100%. And that's the key. It's transparency and accountability, I think, are the two things that nobody's willing to trust anymore until they start seeing action. And that's where that trust and accountability comes from.
Yep.
And that's hopefully from the conversations I had, which were very brief at the time, but as I say,
like the
interesting
ones. Sorry, I know time, but the interesting one was Rachel Reeves came out with this 10-week of kids' VAT reduction, right?
But can I ask a question on that? Right? Yeah. Did you change a kids menu? Did you have a kids menu?
No, we did. Right, so we did. We went.
But everybody did.
No, right. So what? No. So what we did was we took the kids' menu, and we gave. So we took the VAT reduction and we put that back in. So we started to give free snack on arrival because I'm as a mother of two. Where's my food? Where's my food? Where's my food? Where's my food? Yep. So we started to give little crudités and breadsticks the minute the child sat down.
Okay.
And then we also gave them a kids pack and a chef's hat. So we took the VAT reduction and we put some of it into that. And then what we've done is we've totaled up with, obviously finished on the 4th of September, and all the savings we've made, we are donating to the 2 children's charities in Scotland.
Wow.
So minimum
Right.
£2,000 to the Edinburgh Sick Kids Children's Charity and minimum £2,000 to Glasgow Sick Kids Children's Charity
Fantastic.
by taking the money
Well done.
and doing
Absolutely.
something. Because I was like, what can we do here?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'm not, this is sweeties.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we would rather give a little back to the kids, thank their parents, because the easiest way to get the parents to come back is the kids to have a good time, and give the rest away to charity. And I think that's the other big thing is that our hospitality we want to do our bit. You're sleeping on a pavement, we're donating things, right? We want to do our bit, but unless we have this actual slight cushion,
Aye.
we're hamstrung.
And that's the thing, just kind of finally talking on that, you've hit the nail exactly in the head. Sasha talked about it as well. The industry isn't looking for handouts. We're not looking for charity. The industry aren't looking for the government to bail them out or something.
We're looking about manoeuvrability and growth and expansion.
We're looking for a level playing field for the industry to be able to do what it's good at and create and generate economy and drive those aspects. As I say, you only need to look at Manchester and how they've utilised that as the growth of the city. It's the most expansive city in the UK, even including London just now, in relation to events, tourism, and economic spend, because there's no LEZ, the public transport's been reduced to drive footfall into the hospitality venues and using that as a kind of core.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not perfect, but it's a lot better than anywhere in Scotland is at the moment. And that surely has to be looked on as it's not a perfect blueprint, but how can we adapt bits of that? How can we learn from that? How can we make it better, rather than the examples you've got in Glasgow and Edinburgh now, where it seems to be almost anti-business?
Yeah. It's like trying to drive people away from it.
Aye, it's like why would we want cars and people coming out to the city centre? No, let's not give them free parking. Let's increase parking.
Let's make it harder for them to enjoy.
Well, do you know the one about
going into Glasgow?
like the guys that do Edinburgh's Christmas? If they want to shut a block of George Street, they have to pay every parking space for every hour between 8:30 and 6:30, 7 days a week, and that total has to be given to the council for them to be granted to put anything on George Street.
It's madness.
I think it's £56,000.
Jesus,
is what they have to give, and I don't even know if anything will happen on George Street this year, because they haven't got the slush to be able to pay that.
Yeah.
That will have a knock-on effect with our venues, because our venues are so reliant on the footfall that the ice
And
rink
if
or the
they're
Edinburgh's
not there,
Christmas brings. If there's nothing there, I don't even. I mean, there's not enough time to discuss.
No, this could be like
Come back for a part 2.
a week long. Yes, the follow-up edition. Yes.
We might talk about it tonight.
The rant and the moan edition. Yes. On that, listen, it's always a pleasure to speak to you, and it's always an education. And I genuinely thank you for not only being who you are and doing what you do,
Thank you.
because it is genuinely appreciated and valued. And I know a lot of people in the industry look up to you and look. And I know I don't mean that embarrass you about that, but they do, and they pay attention when you talk about things, because you talk sense and you're always very straight to the point with it. So
Try to be.
it matters.
Thank
So
you.
keep doing what you're doing. Thank you for being on the show again.
My pleasure.
I think you're the only person that's been on twice.
Oh,
There you go. You're a first. There you go.
We just get so much
Biased.
to talk about.
Exactly.
I know. It's
Um,
like I think when you're really passionate about something, conversation flows.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
And
there's so much to talk about.
We don't really do upward anyway.
No,
so it's
no,
never
not
been a
at all.
strong point. But again, that has been another OnTrade Show podcast. Thank you to Louise. Thank you to Molly, who again not only involves herself and gets from a customer's perspective in learning the industry as you are, but also takes the bad look off me and makes the show look a lot more presentable. So thank you for listening, and until the next one, we'll see you soon.
This is the rhythm of the night.